Leadership is about knowing your purpose. It's about development and growth of others, about operating out of love, not fear. Leaders set the tone. They inspire the vision and they model it. They challenge it and they challenge the process of how and what we do. That, listeners, is a quote from Mark Miller, Vice President of Merritt Athletic Clubs and our special guest today. So settle in, guys, and get comfy, because that's just a small taste of what you're going to hear coming up in today's show.
Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast, brought to you by Active Management, the world's leading fitness business coaches who in 2015 will help you #grow your business. This is the world's #1 podcast for fitness business owners and managers. We interview real owners and learn what has been working for them to make them so successful. Here's the host of the Fitness Business Podcast, Chantal.
Hey guys, welcome along to today's show. I hope you're having a great week so far. It is an absolutely stunning day here in Sydney. I am broadcasting to you from my veranda overlooking the pool. I think it's a pretty cool place for an office. We're only a week away from spring here in Australia, and the weather already has that feeling in the air. So bring on the sunshine, I say. I hope you're in a great place at the moment. I hope you got somewhere nice to listen to the show. What better way to enjoy your day than to start it off with a little bit of business learning? And today's show is an absolute ripper. Mark Miller is the Vice President of Merritt Athletic Clubs, and he's got over 20 years experience at the senior management level. He's responsible for all of the day-to-day management and operations of 9 clubs and over 800 staff. So when it comes to management and leadership, Mark absolutely knows his stuff. His expertise lies in leadership and staff development, revenue generation, revenue programming, strategic operations, and systems development. Now, managers, club owners, small business owners with staff, or aspiring managers, this one is for you guys. During my chat with Mark, we talked about how he defines visionary leadership and what he does to live that. We talk about what type of professional development that he does to actually lead his team. Plus, he shares with us his top 3 tips for new managers starting off in the industry. Now, one little thing before we listen to the interview, I've got an announcement to make. It is the winner of our Powerful Insights ebook competition. And the winner is Kate Golden. Congratulations, Kate. You have won a copy of the Powerful Insights ebook featuring Joe Cerulli. And I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Active Management, for that awesome prize. That's it, guys. I will not keep you waiting any longer. Let's get stuck into today's show. I trust you'll enjoy my chat with Mark Miller. A very warm welcome to our guest today, Mark Miller. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be part of it.
Now, you've just literally stepped off the plane from the Ursa Institute. How did it go?
Oh, it was a fantastic time. There's such a great group of people out there, and the people who put it together, extremely talented and knowledgeable. And, I feel really blessed to be part of what they do. And the participants that were there at this year's Institute were top-notch, great operators.
That's brilliant. Tell us, what were you presenting on this year?
So this year, I kind of did the same lecture I did last year. It was on strategic planning for club operators, and really talked about how to set up the structure strategically of what they do on a day-to-day basis, from an architecture of success to talking a little bit about culture to going through some, what I call the 3 agendas, and just really trying to share as much knowledge as I can, and hopefully they take a little bit away with them.
That's phenomenal. Listeners, you might remember we actually had Pam O'Donnell on the show about a month ago now talking about the Ursa Institute. So we'll make sure that we put the details back in the show notes of today's podcast so that you can grab those if you want to check out a bit more information. But over to you, Mark, because you are the Vice President of Merritt Athletic Clubs, and I understand that you're responsible for the day-to-day management and operation of 9 clubs and even more than that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about, first of all, how many locations, how many clubs you're looking after, and then how many staff are across those clubs?
So Merritt Athletic Clubs, we've been in business for 38 years, since 1977. Truly great organization to be a part of. And We have 9 current clubs. Our average footprint's about 45,000 square feet with outdoor aquatic parks. We service over 32,000 members. We have 4 managed corporate fitness centers and 2 outdoor aquatic pools. And we have probably over 800 employees that help deliver what we say our purpose is of being the best part of our members' day every day.
Mark, that is not only a huge business, but such a huge amount of employees and staff, 800. Tell me, how do you define visionary leadership, and what do you do with your team to really live that?
Well, visionary leadership, I believe, is defined as leadership which sets the course for the future. We all know that leadership has many forms and definitions. And while I don't believe one to be the only definition of leadership, I do believe that if you read the book, The Leadership Challenge, that they define some of the key components of leadership, which I believe are drastically different than what people who are in management would say. So I guess the answer would be leadership first is about truly knowing your purpose. Some people call it your why. Simon Sinek is probably the forerunner of that. It's that thing that gets you up in the morning. It's what fuels you. It's what creates the drive daily. And I believe it's what fosters your energy and creates your legacy. And that's visionary. It's bigger than any of us. So that's the visionary part. The next part is leadership. And I believe that's about development and growth of others. We call it being kind, not nice. We try to operate out of love, not fear. I believe leaders set the tone. They inspire the vision. They model it. They encourage it. And they challenge the process of how and what we do. So I think visionary leaders do all that and more. I also think that the visionary leaders are the thinkers in our industry, the people who say, why not, rather than yes, but. They're the ones that say yes, and let's go make it happen. Hopefully one day I can be in that class. For now, I just realized that, I'm a leader in a position and trying to become visionary myself and try to emulate some of the greats like Steve Jobs.
So, Mark, tell me, can you give us an example of perhaps what you might do with your team to actually live that leadership?
Yeah. So, first off, I would say that my team is very strong. And, I'm truly fortunate to have such a great team that I work with. And I think a lot of that comes from working through our original dysfunctions and really building a core foundation of trust. We just have this way that we work through things and we trust in each other and we don't feel the need to check in, and we know we have each other's backs. And I think part of that started when a few years back, I decided to not call them managers anymore. I call them all leaders. And the reason I did that is I think that you have to have an expectation up front and you need to show them the pathway. I believe people rise to our expectations as well as their own. And so as a leader, I feel it's critical that I have to have high expectations and I have to try and stretch my people and get them outside their comfort zone, because this is where the true growth occurs. So I like to challenge them as leaders because I don't think they know what they're truly capable of doing until they do it. And what I try to do is I try to teach them that we have 3 agendas in all that we do. And one of them is about getting better. And this is really taken from the philosophy of Kaizen, the constant and never-ending improvement. And I believe that if I teach my team that as leaders, we're always looking to get better. So we're always trying to help each other get better. That's what makes our team stronger. That's what makes our organization stronger, that they too will develop into visionary leaders. And some of the things we do is we share various books that we may be reading or articles. We have discussions and challenge the process a little bit. Sometimes these get heated, but that's kind of where that trust comes in. We take what we call rifle shots. Some people call them experiments. We always try to look at how we make things simpler and more efficient. And really one of the big ones that we're really been working on about becoming visionary leaders ourselves is looking outside of our industry and looking at what other organizations and what other businesses and what other industries are doing and trying to look at why and how we can apply that to our industry and really make a difference in our people's lives.
You know, it's interesting you talk about redefining their roles. Early on, you mentioned redefining from being called managers to being called leaders. It's such it's a simple task, but such an impactful one.
So one of the neat things that we really were trying to embrace is that the language you set, the tone you set really kind of changes people's thinking. So another example would be, instead of calling our front desk the front desk, we call it our welcome desk. And that way they understand that what they're really there for is to welcome our members and make a difference. And one of the things that we believe is that if we can first believe it in our heart and our head, then we can deliver it and model it, and everyone else will do it. The other thing is that we teach a new employer orientation, and we do it, part of it on Sunday nights where we do a cultural thing, and then we do it the next day on customer service training. And in both of those things, we issue a thing to all of our employees, and we say, everyone is a leader, even if you don't have the title. And we give examples throughout our various monthly launches or our meetings and all that about how other employees have stepped into leadership and helped, create a difference.
Yeah.
One of the things that we really did for the leadership thing was, a lot of times when people are managers, they think of command and control type of behaviors. I'm the manager, I'm in charge, I've got to control the situation, so I'm going to make commands. Leaders don't think of command and control. They really think of it as trust and track. So they trust their people to make differences and to do things. We hired our employees to do a thing. They're talented. So we're going to trust them to do what we hired them to do. Now, we are going to track it, which means we are going to check in on them. We're going to inspect certain things, and we're going to kind of sometimes just make sure that things are going the way we want them to go. And I think that's a key difference in management and leadership.
Earlier on, you actually mentioned a book by the name of The Leadership Challenge.
Yes.
Would that, if you had to pick, and because I know you also mentioned you do have this setup where you share books amongst the team and stuff like that. If you had to pick, I'm going to put you on the spot, say your top 3 books to read on leadership. Can you pick 3 for me?
I think the first book I would tell everyone to read is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yep.
Just so they understand the true thing about talking to people.
Yeah.
The Leadership Challenge would definitely be one that I would recommend with regards to the 5 different parts of leadership. And then I would probably recommend the book by Pat Lencioni, which is called The Advantage. And that really is a summary of 3 of his books that I believe can get to the true heart of visionary leadership.
Thank you. We're going to be putting those on the show notes. They're great recommendations. Okay, so let's talk more about the team and professional development. What type of professional development do you do to really lead your team?
Well, that's a great question. And, having just come back from the URSA Institute, I actually brought 3 of my managers with me there. Mm-hmm. I guess the main thing about professional development is I feel that is my main job. So my job in the organization, I feel, is to develop my leaders, to develop their thinking and their abilities. I want them smarter than me. Most of them already are. So by doing that, I have to keep myself learning, and then I share that learning with them. So, I read all sorts of things, make notes, distribute reading packets with questions or notes in the columns, thoughts, insights, questions about certain things. And so I think I've personally got to develop first, because as I personally develop, then I can help them personally develop. Then some of the things that we do to help them is we have monthly meetings, and I have 2 critical components in these meetings. The first one is what I call the circuit. And basically it's an ongoing training plan that I've developed for them that reviews and covers all the basic components of leadership and management. Examples being sales, marketing, branding, communication, emotional conversion, talking about adversity, all sorts of different things, going over time management. And each meeting I review, whether it be through a PowerPoint, an article, or an exercise that I have them do to stimulate their thinking and open up a discussion on those components. And, I think through that experience and through that sharing of knowledge and best practices, they develop. The second part of the team training that I do really involves the work of Pat Lencioni. I've mentioned him a few times, but he has a book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Mm-hmm. And we've done the assessment, and basically in every meeting, we have discussions on the topics. And that allows our teams to continue to grow both personally as well as professionally. It enables our teams to be able to step into conflict and to build trust, to grow as a unit and know that they have each other's backs. I kind of relate it to being part of like the elite special forces teams, the Navy SEALs of fitness clubs. I want them to kind of be like that. And I believe that if I can do that development, that it's helping them as leaders.
That's a great analogy. For new managers that are listening out there, people that are perhaps starting out in the industry or starting out as managers in the industry, what top 3 tips would you give for them to develop themselves?
Well, that's a great question. I think the first one would be that you have to take it upon yourself to grow and learn. Don't expect others to do it for you. And at the same time, don't fear, the people who try to look at you and go, God, you're always constantly reading or always trying to learn, or, they might be the naysayers. Mm-hmm. In this industry, it's rapidly changing. We must grow just like a business. If we grow, we don't die. So I believe that growth is imperative, and not just fitness related knowledge. I think it has to be personal, professional, and family. There's a lot of the things that I've learned over the years I've used to make my communication better with, whether it be my beautiful wife or my awesome kids or my family in general. And, I even try to do the same thing with my leaders. Is I'll give them a book on financial management, or I'll give them a book on the 5 love languages of communication and how it can improve them, because we grow as individuals. And nowadays, I don't believe there's that work-life balance. I kind of believe it's all meshed together, and they all overlap. So part of your growth has to be taken upon yourself. I think number 2 tip I would give them is to go find mentors, people that they look up to and that they can connect with, and ask them questions, talk with them, learn from them if you can. I learned a long time ago that there are 2 types of people in life. And I got to pardon my French for this, but there's the a-hole list. These are the people who are afraid that you're going to be better than them and they try to keep you down. And then there's the good guys list, the great ones that share everything and want everyone to succeed. I actually learned this when I was doing my master's thesis after a few strength and conditioning coaches refused to send me their plans. One day out of the blue, a strength coach, Matt Britsky, called me and asked me, what else I needed, and, was there anything else he could help me with? And I had shared with him that I was frustrated that these people weren't sharing their things with me. And he shared those 2 lists with me. And he told me, don't let them get you down. Find the people who want to help you and want to grow. And, I've never forgotten that conversation. And, I always want to be on that good guys list. And I've been blessed to have several great mentors over the years. Part of the Rex roundtables. I know that Justin's part of them. He's a great mentor of mine as well as a friend, as is Will Phillips and several others. So I think that you got to find some mentors out there. And as Jim Rohn once said, you're only as good as 3 things: the people you know, the books or the things you read, and the experiences we have. So number 2 would be find a mentor. And then lastly, the biggest thing that I've learned is you got to give yourself time and belief. And it's critical that you believe you can do things in this industry and in life. All things, I believe, first begin in our mind's eye. And we have to realize that there's no such thing as failure. It's simply a means to learning. And we have to give ourselves permission to go out there and take action, to fail a little bit, to stumble a little bit, and to ultimately grow. And if you can be patient and you can not get yourself frustrated or get down or depressed, and you can stay positive, you really can become a successful person in this world.
Mark, you mentioned Rex Roundtables in point number 2 there, and Rex are actually one of the sponsors of the show. So I didn't pay Mark to say that. But
you did not. I didn't even know they were a sponsor. That's great.
They are a sponsor of the show. And I just want to come back round to that because you made such a valid point in regards to having that mentor, having someone that you can work with or a group of people that you work with. And I think it's interesting that those two lists that you mentioned, the a-hole list and the and the good guys list. But isn't it funny that the good guys are generally the ones that are richer in information anyway, that are going to be more beneficial to you in the long run? And I think it's fair to say that the ones that are keeping stuff to themselves, or the people, the business owners that are not wanting to share, are the ones that will not grow and that will not prosper because of leading their business or their life in that way. So I think the importance of being in a situation where you're either working with someone or with a group of like-minded people is only going to help you personally and professionally.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That was fantastic.
So, look, I'm pretty sure that our regular listeners do know about Rex Roundtables, but I will put some more information in the show notes as well about Rex and about Ursa Institute, which we've touched on during the interview today. So, Mark, I am very grateful for your time today. You have shared some really, really key information on leadership. You've given us, I know, some inspiration, and I just want to thank you so much for sharing your experience with the listeners and for your time today.
It's been my pleasure, and I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be part of the show.
Thanks so much, Mark. And we'll also make sure that we put Mark's contact details in the show notes along with those book recommendations and those extra links that we've touched on throughout the show. That's it for today. Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you.
As you know, our goal at the Fitness Business Podcast is to help you grow your fitness business. So I love it when I can tell you about new products, programs, and solutions to help you do just that. Our show would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. And one of those awesome sponsors is Visual Fitness Planner. But before I tell you more about them, let me ask you these questions. What is your membership closing percentages? What percentage of your members at the point of sale sign up for a complimentary orientation session? What percentage of your new members actually show up for their complimentary orientation session? And most importantly, what percentage of your membership buys personal training? These are the numbers that you have to be asking yourself and measuring every single day. As the old saying goes, if you're not measuring your numbers, you're not managing your numbers. A club's set show close numbers are significantly improved because of the Visual Fitness Planner. The VFP provides a turnkey system for marketing, capturing, and integrating new members into a healthy lifestyle change. The VFP automates your existing sales, marketing, and orientation systems with the power of its visually impacting technology. VFP calculates a person's health risks for diseases, it predicts their health age, it creates a before and after 3D image of their body and calculates how long it will take to achieve their goals. And in this process, increases your membership and personal training sales and overall member retention. To check out more about the VFP, head over to their website at myvfp.com.au. And of course, a copy of that website link is in today's show notes.
It's time for the Fitness Business Podcast Wrap.
Thanks, Harper. Here are some of my top takeaways from today's chat with Mark. He said, for yourself and for your team, always look for ways to get better. This might be through books, through discussions, through challenging the process, through experiments, and through looking at how you can simplify things and make things more efficient. He also reminded us about the importance of looking outside the fitness industry at what other industries are doing. He talked about the differences between managers and leaders. He told us that managers command and control, whilst leaders trust and track. Mark says that when it comes to business, if we believe it in our heart and in our head, then we can deliver it and model it so that everyone else can follow. He told us to find mentors for your personal growth. Forget about the a-holes and find someone who actually wants to help you grow. And most importantly, give yourself time and belief. There's no such thing as failure. It's simply a means to learning. Before I say goodbye for today, don't forget to jump on and rate the Fitness Business Podcast on iTunes. Simply head over to iTunes, search the Fitness Business Podcast, and under the title Ratings and Reviews, click there, give us a star rating, and write a comment. We would greatly appreciate it. As per usual, if you've got any suggestions, any comments, or any feedback about the show, send me through an email at chantal@activemgmt.com.au. Or if you've got a question, if you want to have a chat about owning or managing a fitness business, send it on through to me and we might feature it in an upcoming show. Don't forget, you can always find all of our previous episodes plus detailed show notes on the website, which is fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Until next week, my friends, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
You have been listening to the world's #1 podcast called the Fitness Business Podcast, brought to you by Active Management. We are dedicated to helping your fitness business #grow in 2015. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au for resources, tools, and more to help you. And by far, the best value for you is to become a member, so join today at www.activemgmt.com.au.